Francisco de Zurbaran. B. Fuente de Cantos, Badajoz, 1598. D. Madrid, 1664. Although he occasionally turned to other subjects, Zurbaran was essentially one of the great religious painters of the 17th century. His style in his most typical works was massively austere and intensely spiritual, perfectly in tune with the religious fervor of his country. He spent most of his career in Seville, which at the time he moved there was immensely prosperous. It was the main port for Spain's lucrative trade with its American colonies. However, Zurbaran also worked elsewhere, including Madrid, where he painted a series of 10 pictures on the labors of Hercules, his major secular commission, for Philip IV's Buen Retiro Palace. In 1658, he moved permanently to Madrid, but by this time his career was in decline, partly because of a general economic slump in Spain and partly because Murillo, who worked in a very different style, had overtaken him as the leading painter in Seville. Lifeline. 1598, born the son of a merchant trader, 1614 studies in Seville, spends most of the next decade in Llerana, near his home village, 1629 settles in Seville, 1634–35 visits Madrid, where he works for Philip IV's Buen Retiro Palace, 1658 moves to Madrid, 1664 dies, with his career in decline. Saint Francis Standing Zurbaran made something of a specialty of figures such as this, showing a saint or monk in prayer or meditation. 1650–60, oil on canvas, 209 by 110 centimeters, Musée des Beaux-Arts, Lyons, France. Closer look. Facial expression. The strong lighting brings out the forceful combination of mystical intensity and somber naturalism that is typical of Zurbaran. Simple lines. This composition is strikingly bold. Its colors are muted, and its stark design features a single centrally placed figure in a frontal pose. As usual, Zurbaran uses a plain background against which the figure stands out with enormous physical presence. Jusepe de Ribera. B. Jativa, Valencia, 1591. D. Naples, 1652. Known as Lo Spagnoletto, the Little Spaniard, after the country of his birth, Ribera settled in Italy at an early age and spent almost all his career in Naples, where he became the leading painter of his generation. At this time the city was ruled by Spain and much of Ribera's work was exported back to his homeland. He was a versatile artist, capable of expressing great tenderness as well as powerful drama, and he painted various types of secular subjects as well as the religious works that were his mainstay. His early work was somber and strongly influenced by Caravaggio, but his style later became much lighter and more richly colored, although always retaining an essential seriousness. Lifeline. 1591, born Thessalonopher shoemaker, 1611 first documented in Italy, in Parma, 1616 settles in Naples. 1639 paints Martyrdom of Saint Philip, presented by the Viceroy of Naples to Philip IV of Spain. 1652 dies after years of recurrent illness. Adoration of the shepherds. This shows many of Ribera's trademarks: rich coloring, tenderness of feeling, and realism in the shepherd's clothes. 1650, oil on canvas, 239 x 181 centimeters, Louvre, Paris, France. Democritus Ibera invented this type of picture, in which he depicted an ancient Greek philosopher as a beggar or vagabond. 1635–37, oil and canvas, 155 by 119 centimeters, collection of the Earl of Pembroke, Wilton House, Salisbury, Wiltshire, UK. Diego Velazquez. B. Seville, 1599. D. Madrid, 1660. Velazquez was the greatest figure of Spain's golden age of the arts, which reached its peak during the reign, 1621–65, of his major patron, King Philip IV. At the age of only 24, Velazquez was appointed a royal painter, and he spent most of his life working for Philip in Madrid. The majority of his paintings are portraits of the royal family and other members of the court, but he produced masterpieces in other fields too. All his work is notable for its dignity, its penetrating sense of actuality, and its beauty of technique, his brushwork developing from almost clotted richness in his early pictures to sparkling freedom in his final paintings. Velazquez made 2 visits to Italy, and his work was acclaimed there. However, after his death most of his paintings remained hidden from the public in royal palaces, and it was not until the Prado, Spain's national museum, opened in 1819 that his work became widely known. Many artists were subsequently influenced by it, notably Manet, who admired Velazquez above all other painters. Lifeline. 1599, born in Seville to a family of minor gentry. 1617, following a 6-year apprenticeship with Francisco Pacheco, he qualifies as a master painter. 1618, marries Pacheco's daughter. 1623, settles in Madrid as court painter to King Philip IV. 1629–31, visits Italy. 1634–35, paints the surrender of Breda. 1649–51, returns to Italy on an art-buying trip for the king. C. 1656, paints Los Meninas. 1660, dies in Madrid after a sudden illness. Velazquez makes the journey worthwhile. He is the supreme artist. He didn't surprise me, he enchanted me. Edouard Manet, 1865. An old woman cooking eggs. Velazquez's early works included some superb scenes of everyday life. He treated these subjects with incisive realism and a respectful humanity. 1618, oil on canvas, 101 by 120 centimeters, National Gallery of Scotland, Edinburgh, UK. Pope Innocent X, during his second visit to Italy, Velazquez painted this famous portrait. It captures the Pope's wily character so vividly that the sitter himself called it too truthful. 1650, oil on canvas, 141 by 119 centimeters, Galleria Doria Pamphili, Rome, Italy. The Surrender of Breda. This is one of a series of pictures celebrating military triumphs of Philip IV's reign, painted for his Buen Retiro Palace in Madrid. It shows the defeated Dutch commander handing the key of the captured city of Breda to the victorious Spanish general. 1634–35, oil and canvas, 307 by 367 centimeters, Prado, Madrid, Spain. Closer look. Faces of the victors. Velazquez brilliantly conveys the human drama of the scene, suggesting the pride but also the fatigue of the victors following a 10-month siege. The bristling array of pikes behind them has given the picture its popular name in Spanish, Los Lanzas, the Lances. Los Meninas. Diego Velázquez, 1656, oil on canvas, 321 by 281 centimeters, Prado, Madrid, Spain. Closer look. Los Meninas. Diego Velázquez. A stunning group portrait. Los Meninas shows the Infanta Margarita, daughter of the Spanish king and queen, with her maids of honor, Meninas. Velázquez, who was court painter to the Spanish monarchy, has skillfully reversed the traditional relationship between painter and sitter by giving himself a prominent position in the painting while showing a reflection of the king and queen in the mirror in the background. This is not simply a painting of the royal couple, it is a picture of what the royal couple sees as they are painted. Velázquez's masterpiece is painted on a large canvas and employs a delicate harmony of colors, exquisitely arranged light and darks, and above all, amazingly fluent brushwork. Composition. The composition has been carefully worked out, with different figures and different figure groupings, perfectly balancing each other. Various focal points and tonal contrasts direct the viewer's eye back and forth across the canvas. It is almost as if the viewer becomes engaged in the activity of the room. Figure groupings. The 2 dwarfs and dog are balanced by the 3 girls. In the middle ground, Velázquez stands to the left and the bodyguard and nun to the right. The royal couple's reflection is balanced by A.C. Chamberlain in the doorway. Color red accents are dotted throughout the painting. They lead the eye in a zigzag from the dwarf, bottom right, to the dresses, the jug, Velázquez's palette, and ultimately to the red drapery reflected in the mirror. Lighting. Velázquez uses the light from the windows to make the Infanta the focal point of the picture. She stands turned towards the light source and her illuminated face and dress immediately catch the eye among the large areas of shadow. Eye and context. Interpretations. Los Meninas. A hugely influential artwork that has been reinterpreted by several artists, and swirling Goya and Salvador Dali. The painting obsessed Pablo Picasso between August and December in 1957, and he snuggled himself in his house near Cannes and painted about 40 versions of This Picasso Veron almost looks as if it has been painted by the girl in Tanta, or one of her maids. The figures are blocked in with a childlike SMP. Ty the hunting dog looks like a FRN cartoon character, and takes the starring role in the foreground. Las Meninas, September 19, 1957. Pat Pias. Olin canvas 162 by 130 centimeters e-pass. Barcelona, Spain. Story. Thanks to a description written by painter Antonio Palomino, published in 1724, we know almost everyone in the picture. The Infanta Margarita, daughter of Philip IV and his second wife Mariana of Austria, is at the center. She is attended by 2 maids of honor. On the right are 2 court dwarfs, a nun, a chaperone to the Infanta, and a bodyguard. On the left is Velazquez. In the background in the doorway is the palace chamberlain. Infanta's face. The Infanta, with her pale face and luminous hair, is the focal point of the painting. She was only 4 or 5 years old when the picture was made, but her dispassionate, knowing stare, and corseted dress gives her a regal bearing. Group of 2 dwarfs. 2 court dwarfs appear in the foreground on the right. One dwarf's face is horizontally aligned with the Infanta's face. This juxtaposition enhances the beauty of the princess. The other dwarf is in shadow and playfully rests a foot on the king's sleepy hunting dog. Velazquez on his chest. Velazquez bears the Red Cross of the Order of Santiago. He did not gain this high honor until 1659, a few months before his death. According to legend, the king painted the cross, but Velazquez presumably added it himself. The royal couple Philip and Mariana appear in the mirror in the background, and we assume they must be standing where the viewer is. However, the mirror does not reflect what is directly in front of it. Furthermore, the size of the reflection and the perfect cropping of the royal couple in the frame are not consistent with the viewer's position. Technique. Velazquez painted Las Meninas with audaciously fluid brushwork. If viewed close up, the painting dissolves into an incomprehensible network of brushstrokes. It is only when the viewer stands back that the sparkling brushwork resolves itself into distinctive forms. This technique helps make the figures seem alive, as if they are on the move. Velazquez has frozen the scene in an almost camera-like way, and yet he also suggests that the group will immediately rearrange themselves. Highlights and shadow. The Infanta's sleeve is composed of loose strokes of white, brown, and black. Flicked strokes of pure white have been added on top to show the light catching on the shimmering fabric of the dress. These are applied with very dry paint so the underlying colors show through. Differing brushstrokes. The painting contains endless varieties of brushwork. Here, Velazquez uses exciting zigzagging brushstrokes to render his white sleeve, but applies small, smudgy dabs of paint to put in the pigments on the palette. Modeling form. Velazquez describes the rounded form of the jug by subtly varying the tone and color of his red mix. Small, dashing brushstrokes of white capture the light reflecting on the shiny glaze of the jug. Shimmering fabric. The Infanta's dress contains a tangle of brushstrokes, varying both in size and intensity. Dabs of pure white are used to register the buttons, and linear strokes describe some of the folds. Thick daubs of impasto, using nearly dry pigment, further enliven the fabric. Las Meninas represents the theology of painting. Luca Giordano, 1692, court painter.